Tres Leches, Tres Leches, Tres Leches. Hello everyone, Jamila here. Welcome to Kitchen Clatters. As promised in my last week's video, we're making Tres Leches cake today. If you haven't seen that video, the one I posted last week, I'm linking it on your screen right now. I showed you guys how to make Brazilian cheese bread. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, then the bell button to the right of that button, and select all so that you don't miss when I post new videos every Friday. At least I'll post this one this Friday. Tres Leches cake is the most gorgeous, moist and soggy cake you're ever going to try. Look at how heavy it looks from all of the milk that's in it. It's just so easy to make, and I was so sure chocolate cake was my favorite until I tried this one at my big sister's place in Houston. It's just surprisingly easy to make. There's versions without butter in it, but I like this one because I like to tell myself that it's more healthy since it's the no butter version. Now let's go make some Tres Leches cake. Trust me, when you go Tres Leches, you're never going back to regular cake. Let's go. So I used my cracked 9x13 casserole dish. Don't worry, it didn't break apart in the oven. If you have a glass baking dish, you can use that as well. I'm just going to butter it up. Don't worry, this is all the butter that goes into the recipe, like I said, just to kind of grease the pan. And you're going to have to preheat your oven to 350 degrees and then butter the pan and then set it aside. Next, you need 3 mixing bowls, 1 for the flour and 2 for the eggs. The 2, you have 1 for egg whites and 1 for egg yolks. You're going to need 5 eggs. Stay with me, guys. 5 eggs is not a lot, but it's like the bulk of the ingredients. So yeah, you're going to separate the eggs and put the yolk in one bowl and the egg whites in one bowl. And once I'm done separating the eggs, I'm going to set the bowls aside, and then I'm going to prepare the flour for the cake. In this large bowl, I'm going to add a cup of all-purpose flour. I use this one that's already pre-sifted, so I don't really need to sift it again. So I use a cup, and to kind of get me that very tender, fluffy result, I take out 2 spoons of flour and replace it with 2 spoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons that is. And then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, just 1.5 teaspoons. And then I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to whisk that together so that it's properly combined. Once that is done, I'm going to set this aside and then revisit the bowls of eggs that I just set aside. Now in this bowl, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to use my hand mixer for this. I remember when my sister used to make cakes and she would have us sit down and mix this with like a spatula until it's creamy. I do not miss those days. I think it's part of the reason that I don't really bake so much. Yeah, because I remember just turning and turning until I got tired. Now for this, you're going to mix it on a high for about 2 minutes until you get this custard kind of consistency. It's like when you're just mixing custard and you're about to make it or something like that. It's like creamy. It has that creamy custard texture. Once you get to that, you can stop. I mean, you can beat more, but I mean, at this point I just stopped and then added in the milk. I'm going to be adding about 1/3 cup of milk. I used evaporated milk. You can use whole milk if you want, but I used evaporated milk. And then I added 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I'm just going to mix that in just for it to combine. There's nothing serious going in there. I think you can actually use your hand mixer at this point to just get it to combine, but I use the spatula instead. And once that is done, set it aside, and it's time to have some fun with the egg whites. Now for the egg whites, some people suggest that you whisk it to like a certain extent until it kind of forms like white peaks, and then you add the sugar. But I don't know, I just threw in the sugar straightforward and it still turned out great anyway, so I guess you can do that. But normally you mix it to this extent and then you start to add the sugar gradually, but your girl just threw it in there and it still turned out great, trust me. So you just mix it. I did this for about 5 minutes until it's not still ready, until you get like this almost like whipped cream. It's amazing, right? That's what the texture looks like. I'll show you in just a sec. Look at that, almost like whipped cream. It's very light and fluffy. And then you set that aside and bring back your flour mixture. Now to the flour, I'm going to start with the egg yolks mixture. Egg yolks mixture, oh my god. Okay, so I'm starting with the egg yolks mixture and I'm just going to stir it properly to combine. You want to stir properly at this point, because once you add the egg whites, you're not doing a lot of vigorous stirring. So you want to stir at this point and make sure that every white looking thing turns light yellow. Is that light yellow or creamy? So just mix it properly at this point, and then it will be time to add the egg whites. Oh lord. Start with adding the egg whites in bits. So I went with half at first, and you're just going to fold it in. You need to be careful while you're doing this, because this is what gives the flour most of the volume. It's what makes it rise. So you don't want to just mix it like you're making eba or something. Just lightly mix it in just so it combines, but like you're not really mashing it with the spatula. Then add in the remaining egg whites and do the same process again. So you're just going to swipe from the bottom and then cut through in the middle. Swipe from the bottom, cut through in the middle. Swipe from the bottom, cut through in the middle. Continue that process until you have a smooth batter. And that's what it looks like once it's ready. And then it's time to bake. You bring back your casserole dish from where you kept it, wherever that was, and just pour in the butter. And once that is done, smooth it over with the spatula. Just make sure that it goes round the casserole dish like that. And once this is done, what we're going to do is shake it and tap it from the bottom just to get all of the air out, and then we're ready to bake. After we're done with this, we put it in the oven to bake for about 30 minutes. Make sure you set your timer, and then it's time to prepare the tres leches. Now this next part is the whole deal about tres leches, because we literally prepare the tres leches. 3 milks. I start with 1/3 cup of heavy cream or whipping cream. Then I add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I found this very nice tin cutter on Amazon. It's KitchenAid. If you want it, I'll put a link in the description box. You can find it there. And so 1 whole can of condensed milk, that's the second milk. Yeah, you know how I like to, get everything out. Yeah, I use a spatula to get it out. And then on to the third type of milk, which is evaporated milk, but I found this partly skimmed one, and I don't know, I just felt like using it. You can actually make 4 leches, because you can add 4 types of milk, but this cake is tres leches, so keep it at 3, guys. And I'm just going to stir that up and leave it in the fridge until cake is ready. 30 minutes later, the cake is beautifully baked. I did the fork test and it came out completely clean, so no need to leave it there any longer than it needs to be. Just take it out and let it cool for about 30 minutes. Now when you're letting this cake cool, do not let outside air in. It's very important. I can't tell you the origin of that, but it's very important. It just leaves your cake smelling like eggs. But just make sure all the doors are closed, nobody's opening the door, and just let this cake cool. Once it's cool, after 30 minutes, it's time to, poke the cake with forks like that to make holes, because we're going to pour the Tres Leches into the cake. So you want to make that hole like that. The paper towel is so when the fork picks up particles of cake like that, you can wipe it off with the paper towel and just keep making holes. You need to make as much holes as you can on the cake so that it can properly absorb the milk. And then when you're pouring in the milk, you want to start from the edges like that, because they tend to be like more tough than the middle, and so you want more milk on that side. For me, I wasn't satisfied with the amount of milk that went in. I got greedy basically, and so I did like half of all of the Tres Leches that I just showed you, half of everything, and then I added more to it. And then once this is done, you have to leave it in the fridge for about an hour or two so that it soaks. That's if you're trying to use this cake for today, right? But you need a good 6 hours for this cake so that it has time to absorb the milk and it has time to get cold, and it's actually very much better when it's cold. Now once it's freezing in the fridge, I just added 2 cups of whipping cream there, and I'm adding 3 tablespoons of sugar. We're going to make the top coating. You can actually have Tres Leches cake without the top coating, but I like the whipped cream on top, so I'm just going to whip this for about 6 minutes. It's milk, so it took some time, but I whipped it for about 6 minutes until it gets fluffy like this, and like you would have the whipped cream from like a jar like that. And then it's time to revisit the Tres Leches cake. Look at that, it's basically soaked in all of that milk. You can't really see anything on top, and so I'm just going to cover it up with the whipped cream and just lay it over the entire cake. Cover the entire thing up. And once that's covered up, you want to smoothen the top like that, and you can have it like this again, or you can decorate the top. I decided to decorate mine with some strawberries and raspberries, and I don't know, I think this is the best cake to have with strawberries, because strawberries, they're not the most sweet things. It has that tangy taste to it, and then it just blends perfectly. It's like this cake was made for strawberries. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, now would be a good time to do so while we are decorating the cake. Please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And yeah, you can definitely save this video for when you need to make a cake for either just for random desserts, or you're making it for birthdays, or like you have a potluck. This is an amazing cake to make, and you can make it a day prior, right? So you don't have to make it on the day that you have whatever the event is. So that's about it for Tres Leches. It's really beautiful. It's gorgeous. You can see that it's really simple to make. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients. All you need is a lot of eggs, a lot of milk, and just like 1 cup of flour, no biggie, and then some sugar. And then of course you have nice strawberries like I did. It's time to, in fact, the reason I decided to make this Tres Leches that day is because I got the perfect strawberries when I bought fruits, and I'm just like, man, that's the sign. I need to make Tres Leches, right? Look at the beautiful cake. It's very soggy, it's very heavy from all of that milk. It's perfect to eat it now. It just gets so much better when you eat it the next day, because it's not frozen, it's really cold, and it's absorbed all that milk, and it's just the best moist cake that you can ever try. I don't know, chocolate cake needs to take a backseat. Oh, and I actually have a taster for you guys today. You see the shock on her face when she tastes this cake.
I'm looking fine now.
You're looking great.
You know talk true. You know talk true. Now, when I'm done with you, you're gonna start getting a lot of calls.
Yes.
So, has he said anything at all to you? Not a word. I mean, after what he
Wow.
did today,
Wow. What's going on over here?
It's Tres Leches.
It's amazing.
Told ya, you really should try to make this cake at least once a month so you don't gain all those pounds. The reason I'm not making it is because I don't live around a lot of people and I would actually have to eat them myself if I make it. And I'm trying to, you know, summer body here, bikini body, So yeah, I don't make this cake very often. You would get addicted, but try. If you don't make it, then you don't eat it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you guys here again next week. Promise me you're going to try Tres Leches. And if you don't want to make Tres Leches, share it to your friends. Your friends want to make Tres Leches. See ya.